Happy Sunday! Welcome to the Scoop Loader NCAA 25, the video game Eve, coming out tomorrow. I know a lot of you guys are excited about it. Is there about to be a boom in recruiting for the offensive line at Ohio State? We're going to break that down. Take your questions as always. We're getting into the nitty gritty. Last couple of weeks of vacation for the staff. The players are grinding away. They get a little bit of time off before camp. And then, guys, camp starts in about 2.5 weeks, which is crazy. Football's almost here. 50 days from kickoff, a little bit less, like 47, I believe. So this is going to be a very, very quick turn. We're going to have all the coverage on BuckeyeScoop.com. As always, we appreciate you guys being a part of our program. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. If you guys enjoy our podcast, please subscribe to our Apple version or our Spotify version. Those have both been exploding for us in growth. We appreciate you guys that are listening to it. It adds up, even if you guys just like to take it on or listen to it on YouTube. Subscribe to the formats, leave reviews. Those all help us. They take about 20 seconds to do, and they're a huge help for Buckeye Scoop. So we appreciate you guys just supporting us and doing all that you guys do. As always, we appreciate you guys being on here each and every night. It's a huge show because you guys make it one. So shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. Shout out what's the first thing you're going to do on NCAA 25. I know that a lot of our people are into that game. It's a big day for college football fans tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm excited about it all. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend at Nevadabuck. Nevada, the O-line is always something that's been interesting in recruiting. There's been a lot of consternation around Justin Fry, David Sanders Jr. A lot of people are excited about the crop that's coming up in Ohio next year. There's some fantastic juniors that should be leaders on, Max Riley, Sam Greer. But I think that we've got a really good shot to get cranked up in recruiting. We land David Sanders Jr., land a couple other guys, maybe get a portal guy like we have the past 2 years. We've gotten 2 portal starters, which I don't think people seem to understand that, we could pick up a Seth McLaughlin from Alabama and Josh Simmons from San Diego State, a kid that was probably under recruited. It's probably more of a SEC type tackle than a whatever conference San Diego State's in type tackle. I think that, when you plug those in and you develop and you get a good crop in Ohio, this can really start to take off for Ohio State on the offensive line. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think this year, it's the first time since Justin Fry's been here that I've heard real questions about him coming from inside the Woody Hayes. And I think it's really a show me year for him. It's a show me year in terms of recruiting. It's a show me year in terms of results. And I think he's firmly on the firing line right now with Dave because of, the perceived lack of success in terms of, the thought was that when he came in that, offensive line recruiting would all of a sudden go to the new heights and he would have the same impact on that Brian Hartline has had on the wide receiver room, that Tim Walton has had with the secondary, that even that James Laurinaitis has had immediately on, with defensive players in general and linebackers in particular. And you're just not seeing that yet. And I think that's why, this year is probably the most important year that you could possibly have because you've got a great crop of in-state guys. You've got out-of-state guys, like Darius Gray and other people that are potential commitments to Ohio State, on the offensive line. But I think the real question is whether Justin Fry is going to be there, coaching them. And, I've never asked you this question. No, this is not part of the pre-show setup, but I'll ask you it now. But how good of a technical coach do you think Justin Fry is? Or is that undeterminable by watching? Is it, look, you played the position, you coached the position, the position. There's nobody better or more equipped in the world to talk about it than you. But I mean, how good of a coach is Justin Fry? I mean, or is that knowable? Because again, I don't want just to be like some sensational, podcast BS for people to say whatever. But like, is that determinable? Can you look at things and tell? Is there attention to detail? Are the guys being coached up properly? Are we doing it the right way? And I'd really like to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think every line coach has a different style. I think some guys have strengths in some areas and weaknesses in others. It's just like any coaching point or coaching spot. It's like to me, you are what you put on tape. Again, that's what is the oldest adage in coaching, really. I mean, because it doesn't matter if you coach at Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, or Kent State, Missouri Southern, some little rinky-dink school that you might start your dynasty with, Kennesaw State. You are what you put on film. And I think that our guys have been good pass protectors and average to below average run blockers the last couple years. I think we've been aided because we've had grossly superior talent. Especially 2 years ago when we started, you roll out Paris, DeWand, Luke Whippler, Donnie, Matt Jones. Those are all guys that, Matt Jones has a good shot to make an NFL roster, at least make a practice squad. Luke Whippler started a game as a rookie in the NFL last year. DeWand started a lot of games. Paris was a day one starter in the NFL. So, sometimes you get dealt a royal flush and, I could coach. Most of the people in the chat could coach that crew and make them pretty good. Did I think that they were underwhelming at times? Yeah. For as talented as they were, did I think that DeWand Jones should have been more dominant? Absolutely. For as big as he is, I thought he should have been a much better run blocker than he was. Paris was naturally nasty, but our guys haven't been good with their hands. And again, this isn't, I really like Justin Fry. I think he does a good job. He's young in the profession. And it doesn't mean that guys that are old in the profession are great either. I think that every coach has been different. I was around Harry Heastan's a fantastic technical guy. He's retired now. Chris Forster is with the 49ers. He was my coach in San Francisco. He was excellent. It really just depends on, I think that this isn't a cop-out, but this is just reality. This is the truth. I think that the O-line it's not just the offensive line coach. I think it's a coordination of the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the strength coach all together morph the offensive line more than any other position. I think that if you go to the the wide receiver room, it's the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, wide receivers coach, not as much strength coach. With offensive line, you need raw power. You need guys to be in great shape. You need guys to be, I think something that's really underrated with Mickey Marotti, and I know people that are stupid are going to say, oh, well, we've had all these injuries in the last few years, but, excuse me, it hasn't been on the offensive line. How many games did Paris Johnson miss in his career? How many did DeWand miss? How many did Luke Whippler miss? How many is Donnie Jackson? We went years and years and years without anybody missing any games. So, we would have had one here or there, but, when you have that's the most physical group on the field, the offensive line. The offensive line and the defensive line are that's the only two groups that hit in every practice. You don't get a day off from hitting when you're a lineman. Receivers don't get hit, quarterbacks don't get hit. Most of the time, running backs don't get hit. Linebackers thud up with running backs, but there's not a lot of live tackling or a lot of live contact. But the linemen, it's all live contact because every drill you do, in general, you're blocking another person. Again, that was kind of a running joke, when people made a big deal about Jim Bowman not hitting sleds. And I was like, well, yeah, hitting a sled I think it's the most worthless activity in football. It's the dumbest activity in football. It's something that guys should do during the summer when they're conditioning to get their lower bodies right, work on their strike. It's something they could do in pre-practice before the practice starts. I'd get the guys out there early and have them hit the sled for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, drive it a little bit. But once practice starts, you need to hit live bodies. You need to hit real people. It's kind of like if you instead of ever facing if you're a baseball player, instead of ever facing a live pitcher, all you do is hit off the machine. And you're like, well, this is the same thing as facing a live pitcher that's got different arm angles and different velocities and different points where the ball's coming out, whatever. It's just totally different, which is why I always like, because with Bulls, we did more live hitting with Jim Bowman than we did with Ed Warner or Stud or any of these guys, because we did a lot of one-on-one drive blocking live. I would go versus Nick Mangold or whoever, and we'd run into each other, and that was way harder than hitting a sled that doesn't move. Because Nick Mangold is, a 700-pound squatter who's a wrestler, and he gets about 6 inches off the ground when he comes out of his stance, and that's way harder to go against than a sled that doesn't move. But I think, Justin, have we been great? No, I don't think we're physical up front. And again, I hate saying that. It pains me to say that, and I really try. I'm not being a hater, but when you watch our film and you watch our running game, do we physically dominate teams? I don't think so, but we haven't really had to, because we've been so much. We've been more flash than fire recently, because we've had so much skill between Garrett Wilson and Smith and Jigba and Marvin and CJ Stroud. I mean, so we haven't had to really like pound guys like for instance, like Michigan. Like Michigan last year, they just slaughtered guys up front because they didn't have the skill guys that we've had. So they didn't have a choice. They had to go up front and just slaughter guys, and that was kind of their mentality. You know, that's something that I think that we should learn from, because, you know, when you put more emphasis on running the ball, it helps you stop the run. And, you know, times where we've gotten jammed up, we haven't been able to stop the run as proficiently as we've needed to. And I think it's directly because that's what we work on in practice. Like when we were, again, I go back to my senior year, which is 1,000 years ago. We were first in the nation versus the rush. We gave up 65 yards a game, and we ran all over people. We ran for like 275 or 250 versus Wisconsin, 250 versus Michigan. And that was a game where we couldn't throw because it was raining the entire game. So we were one-dimensional, but we were able to do it. So in our run defense, you know, going against that run defense every day in practice was the hardest thing in the universe, because we had Cam Hayward and James Laurinaitis and Malcolm Jenkins and Vernon Golson, and we had monsters up front, and it made us better. And I think that that's something that Ryan, you know, when it gets to the nitty gritty late in the season or up at Oregon, and you've got to stop the run and get that stop, like I think that that's something we have to get better at. And I think that, you know, again, like it's not just the line coach. I think it's the style of offense that really hurts the offensive line. When we're nothing but we turn into Texas Tech or Oklahoma and we just throw it 65 times a game. Like that doesn't help the offensive line impose their will, if that makes sense. Nevada, any secondary questions to that? Just because like I know it's hard for me just to say it's all Justin Frye, because there was a time where people thought like Ed Warner was the greatest offensive line coach that ever lived. And I was like, guys, like I was in that same room, and you know, Ed Warner, he's fine, but he was a quarterback at Mount Union. He'd rather be a quarterback's coach. He'd rather be an offensive coordinator. You know, he kind of found offensive line, and he was okay. But you know, after he left Ohio State, he was at Michigan for a year or two. They fired him up there. Now he's at Florida Atlantic, and you know, in Urban, I think without Urban Meyer's offense and Mickey Marotti's strength program, Ed's just Ed. Before he met those two guys, I mean, he didn't put a single guy in the National Football League in his first 25 years of coaching. So kind of is what it is. What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, look, I've always been a big proponent of that, you know, scheme is just paramount. And you know, I think that when you pass as much as we do, you know, we practice a lot of pass blocking. And when you practice a lot of pass blocking and pass sets, then you're not as physical in your run sets. And I think it's a mentality. I think Ryan Day likes the pass. I think Ryan Day's running concepts have been not great. Now, the good news is I know that he's corrected that and bringing in Chip. Nobody has better run concepts than Chip Kelly. Nobody runs constraint better than Chip Kelly. Nobody stresses the defense better than Chip Kelly. Nobody's more innovative in all of college football, maybe in all of football, than Chip Kelly. So I think that we've gone a long way towards, you know, moving things around. But, you know, from, you know, Justin Frye's perspective, I think the offensive line coach, I think probably gets too much of the credit when things go well, a la Ed Warner, and probably gets too much of the blame when things go wrong, because I don't think enough people understand the position. I mean, you hear lots of things like we should just be able to line up and run when we want to run, and always point to the hole and say we're going to run there, and that, or blow the guys off the ball and run, you know, push them 5 yards down the field every time, and you know that doesn't work either. You know, you've got to present a challenge that modern defenses are just too good to do that. So I think that a lot of times, you know, we see things and we get, you know, upset about it, or we want, you know, we always, there's somebody's got to be there to blame. And I think the offensive line coach is just a convenient, you know, target. And that's why every offensive line coach that I can ever remember since I've been following Ohio State football has always been hated or heavily criticized by the Ohio State fans. And it seems like it's a universal, you know, this goes back decades and decades. And I think for, you know, Justin Frye, he's just the latest guy to be in that chair. Got a lot to prove this year. The great news is he's got a lot of ammunition, you know, to defend the castle with. He's got a great bunch of guys, a veteran bunch of guys, you know, a veteran quarterback, great running back, great emphasis on the word great running backs, great wide receivers and the best offensive, minds in the world, and helmet communications, which is only going to help offense look better. And as much as it's going to help defense, the helmet communications are heavily skewed towards assisting offenses, and I think nobody's going to be a better, bigger benefactor of that than Will Howard, Chip Kelly, and Ohio State. So this will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, how it goes for Justin this year. Got a big milepost ahead there with the David Sanders commitment, because you land that one, and that just buys you miles and miles and miles of runway. And you don't get that one, and man, I don't even want to think about it. Not again. Is it the end of days? Not to me. And it's never the end of days with one recruit. Never been that way. Will never be that way. But I know for a lot of people it'll be, and I know that the hot seat will get hotter and hotter and hotter for Justin should that happen. So I'm cautiously optimistic, keeping my fingers crossed, and hoping things go exactly the way that we think they're going to. And Justin Fry gets that David Sanders commitment, and everybody's happy.
Nevada, I'm going to adjust it because I don't usually adjust things to the chat, but this is funny. Christopher Sowers, I appreciate this comment, says, I do feel like Kirk and Nevada hate on Keenan Bailey and never show hate towards Fry. Well, I mean, Keenan Bailey he tried to fight a strength coach and got the absolute Christ beat out of him. So, Justin's never done that. Justin's been around the block a little bit more. I thought that was a douchebag move, and I got that completely sourced up. That was, and that was in front of players. So, I think that in general, you should be fired on the spot if you do something that's stupid. But again, what do I know? It's Ryan's program. But we have that sourced, and Ohio State never addressed it, but it happened. So I thought that was stunningly bad judgment. And again, I've been in exceptionally heated situations with coaches that both I was in and I saw coaches get into, but it never came to blows, because in any place in the entire universe, if there's a fight in a workplace, somebody in general is going to get terminated. If you work, I don't know what you guys work, if you work at a school, if you're a teacher and you hit a kid or whatever, like, you're probably done, in my opinion. So that happened. So that opened up the floodgates of me with him. And frankly, if I hope he proves me wrong. I hope that the tight end room is exceptional, but I haven't heard that. So, G. Scott is going to take about 10 steps forward. Jelani Thurman is the most talented kid we've had, and I'm not hearing sparkly stuff about him, but hopefully he takes a step forward, and the rest of those guys got to prove they can play Big Ten football. So again, Justin has put guys into the NFL. Cade Stover is a guy that Keenan Bailey coached for 1 year, so I guess he gets credit for that. But Justin put guys into the league when he was at Boston College, guys from UCLA, and then obviously Paris and DeWand, and he'll put Donnie in this year. But that's just my opinion. Nevada, do you have anything to say to that?
Well, yeah, dude, I've been far from a Justin Fry cheerleader.
Yeah.
I think look, if I'm rating the coaches from 1 to 10, Bailey's 10, but Justin's 9. So yeah, if you're saying, oh, you like him better than Bailey, yeah, but dude, I've been all over him in terms of stuff. With Keenan, it's really simple, and we don't go into this enough, but this is the truth. This is the fact. Keenan's Eddie Haskell. He's like the guy that kind of narks on all the other coaches and says stuff, and it's kind of Weasley kind of going around and currying favor with Ryan Day all the time. And that's why Ryan keeps him around, and the other guys know it, and they hate him for it. And so that's you kind of got the situation where he is that guy on the staff right now. But he's protected by Ryan because he serves a valuable purpose for Ryan. That's what happens. Do I want them to be the best coach? Dude, I want them all to succeed, because if they succeed, that means Ohio State's succeeding. If Ohio State's succeeding, that means all these chats, the board, everybody's happy. Everybody's in a good mood, and people are joyous and jumping up and down. And that's all that I just want people to be happy. I want people to enjoy watching Ohio State football. And if that means that Keenan Bailey turns that room around and the tight ends are, he can do it. Jelani Thurman, like you said, Jelani Thurman is just insanely talented, probably the most talented, physically talented tight end that we've had since Ricky Dudley. So he's got raw material to work with, and he's got a great offensive scheme to work with. So I hope that I hope that all the staff is successful this year in 2024, and they should be because they've got a super team to work with, and I hope they all get it figured out.
Yeah, and for those of you that are wondering why I'm still in the shower sweat mode, I literally just got off the Stairmaster. That's why when I was a little bit late, I was like, guys, I got to cool off for a minute so I'm not just completely drenched. I get my 4 miles in at night so I can stay upright from podcasting my life away. So I am fine, guys. I'm just trying to stay a little skinnier so that you guys can have me podcasting and upright. So yeah, Nevada, again, I don't, when people say, oh, you love Justin Fry, I don't know if they've been listening to this podcast very often because, again, we just try to be fair. Like, again, like that's why for years, we were the people that said, I think Greg Sudoir isn't that bad of a recruiter, despite what every other moron on the beat would say. I'd say, well, here's the deal. Like, if there's one thing you'll say about Kirk and Nevada, I like numbers because they're the universal truth. I like facts. I like, recruiting rankings, like whatever metric you guys want to use. How good are we at running the football, period, point blank? Like, so you go back through the last years and again, do this on your own. This could be your homework for tonight. Go on from Rivals was founded in 2002. So you can go through the stretch of 2002 to 2011 and add up all of Jim Bowman's 5-star recruits. Then you can go from 2012 to 2016, add up all of Ed Warner's 5-star recruits. Then go from 17 to 20 or 21 or whenever stud got whacked, add up all his 5-star recruits. And then go from 21 to current and add up all Justin Fry's. Like, I think Stud has more than all of them combined, than the other 3 names combined. I mean, and I'm not kidding. I don't want to bet too much on it, but just off the top of my head, like, I think Alex Boone was the only 5-star that Jim Bowman ever brought in. Maybe Mike Adams, Brewster, and Alex. So there's 3 in his 10 years. Ed, I don't know who. I don't think Ed brought in a 5-star. I really don't think so. Then Stud brought in Harry Miller was a 5-star. Nick Petit-Frere was a 5-star. Parrish Johnson was a 5-star. Donnie Jackson was a 5-star. Who am I missing? Nevada? Is there another one? I don't know.
Nick Petit-Frere was Wyatt Davis.
Wyatt was absolutely a 5-star. Wyatt was like the number 1 lineman in the country. Or he was close to it. So there's 5 for him. And Justin hasn't brought in one yet. So there's, math isn't real hard when the numbers aren't real big. So there you go. So people say, well, he was the worst recruiter of all time. I'm like, well, in the state of Ohio, where we don't have a ton of 5-star linemen, somehow he was able to get more 5-star linemen than anybody. And now, again, I don't know if Urban Meyer did all the recruiting. I don't know if Tinkerbell did all the recruiting or Tinkerbuck or whatever. But, like, somehow they managed to find their way here. And they weren't just all in-state layups. There were guys from Tampa, guys from California. I mean, Wyatt was from California, for God's sakes. Guys from Texas, guys from Georgia. So those are big-time signature pulls there. So again, we're just fact-based, And since Justin's taken over, like, our recruiting's gone down. Now, why? I don't know. Again, and maybe the guys that we took are better than the 5-stars we missed on. I don't know. But, and again, not every 5-star ends up being a miss. I've said that a million times. Like, I was looking at the year Nick Petit came out, because we had a super chat a couple days ago about Jackson Carman. And so I was like, well, here's the thing on Jackson Carman. Everyone was, oh my God, how are we ever going to survive without getting Jackson Carman and Jackson Carman this, Jackson Carman that. So I actually looked at the year that he came out, and we did this live on the show because, again, we try to, just destroy these myths about, oh my God, we don't have, the right guys, or was this a big miss or whatever. And so Jackson, this was interesting. The year that Jackson came out, it was the end of days when we didn't get this kid. And again, like, he's got like this, I don't know what he's got going on with his thing in his eyes or whatever, and his earrings and stuff, but right away I'm just like, pass. I'm good. 2, you go look at the offensive tackle rankings from that year. So this one has Jackson is a 5-star. I think Rivals might have had Jackson as a 4-star. I can't remember. But the other one, which I believe was it must have been Rivals. I guess I don't know. They had this Bray Walker kid as a 5-star. Bray Walker is now at Texas State and has never made a start. 6'7", 360. The Rivals one, he was the number 2 guy in the country. He was the only other 5-star. Went to Oklahoma. I don't think he ever started a single game. Literally. I mean, this guy was the greatest player in the history of college football, and now he's at Texas State. He entered the transfer portal and is a Texas State Bobcat. 5-star, 6'7", 360. Oh my God. Punched his ticket to the NFL. So not every 5-star is a miss. So, and again, I don't know what Cade Mays has done. But here's the 5-stars from that year. So you've got Nick Petit Frere is going to start for the Titans this year. He'll have a 15-year NFL career. He'll play as long as he wants to. Jackson Carman is probably going to get cut by the Bengals this offseason. Cade Mays, I have no idea. Is he still at Georgia? I mean, okay, he's with the Carolina Panthers. I don't think he was a high draft pick, but again, I don't know. But again, he wasn't. He was okay. So he was selected in the drafts somewhere. Transferred, and again, Georgia got him in 2018, and he transferred to Tennessee after 3 years. So what did Georgia get out of that kid? Absolutely nothing. So out of these big superstar 5-star tackles, Jackson Carman had an okay career at Clemson, ended up going like 2nd or 3rd round. Nick Petit was a great player at Ohio State, was an All-American. Cade Mays did nothing at Georgia. Bray Walker did nothing at Oklahoma. So, again, I know people want to celebrate the magic of signing day and 5-star tackles, but you have to understand, some people are so stupid. Like, again, I've lived this with Kenyatta Goodwin, and again, I know his grandma died or whatever, and so I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I know that he's whatever, but he when he went to Kentucky, it was the end of days. Like, Ohio State football should just cancel the season, fire Stud, fire Urban Meyer, fire Mickey, fire the whole Piantoni, send them all packing because we didn't get Kenyatta Goodwin. He lasted like 1 semester at Kentucky, transferred to Florida, left Florida, and now he's in the ether. He's nowhere now. 2 years into his career. So I don't know. Like, I hate being right all the time because it gets exhausting when I'm always right about offensive tackle recruiting, but it just sucks. But we're here to absolutely just destroy these narratives about, oh my God, how are we ever going to survive if we don't get Jordan Seaton or Samson Okunloa or whoever. It's just like, then you go look at where their careers at. And again, the king of all kings is Chantrell Henderson. Oh my God. There's no way we're ever going to survive not getting Chantrell Henderson, who did nothing in college and did nothing in the NFL. All right, I'm done, Nevada. I've got some super chats. Anything to add to that?
Nick Samak. That's it. That's all I got.
I try not to swear. Nick Samak. Nick Samak and JD Duplain, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh God. Oh gosh. Gotta have them. We gotta have them.
I was like, yeah, so we took Luke Whippler, who left early after 3 years and started as a rookie in the NFL. Wake me when I'm wrong. Sean Rawlings, what's up, brother? Thanks for the 20. I hope you're doing good. Hope Worcester is holding it down tonight. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being an Ultra member. And let me know if you have a question in the chat. I'll answer it for you. Appreciate you, my man. David Fennell, what is up, my man? Thank you for the 5. So glad to catch this live for once. Burke Carton will live forever over the state of Louisiana. I might even wear it into Death Valley this year. That would be the funniest thing, maybe of all time. So David literally bought a Burke Carton jersey, which is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I literally put this in, we've got like a little group chat with the ownership, and he sent me this photo because for whatever reason, like Nevada, like when we're out and about places, he'll tell people my name is Burke Carton, and he thinks it's the funniest thing ever when he tells people that. So he started calling me that on here, and David actually bought a Burke Carton jersey, and it came from the Mongolia, China, or somewhere. It took him like 9 months to get it. He ordered it like 9 months ago, and it finally got there, and it actually looks pretty good. So that is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I love the black jerseys. Again, I'm not jealous of anything in my entire life, but I would have loved to have gotten one of the black jerseys when I played, because you guys know I wear black every day. So those jerseys are absolutely fantastic. I think they're the best jerseys we've ever had. I wish that we'd wear them every home game, but that's just me. I'm not a traditionalist. I like the black. It reminds me of like when the Chicago Blackhawks came with a black jersey in '95, and I thought it was the greatest hockey jersey ever created. I know the Portland Winterhawks had a black one too. I mean, it's just so sick. Nevada, I believe that you wanted Ohio State to come out with black jerseys because I think that they look awesome. I think that every black, like polo or hat, or, you know, with the red, the black with the red Nike swoosh is the best look Ohio State has by far. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I love the fact that the first black jersey that ever has your name on it has it spelled Carton, and I just think that's all I'm trying to do is protect your anonymity right there, so that way nobody gets it, because like you say Burke Carton, nobody knows who that is, man. You can like fly under the radar. You can do the thing, you know. So I like the fact that black jersey's got Carton on it. We need to get that jersey into Death Valley there, so people can be like, who the heck is that? I wonder if that's Mr. Carton or part of the Carton family. And you know, you'll be famous down in Louisiana. They'll be having like your crawdad boils for you and all sorts of things down there in Louisiana. You'll be famous.
Oh my God. That would be absolutely fantastic. How do you think? I'm just going to let this run for a little bit since we've got this whiteout footage from the beta. So this is the game. So you get a little backdrop stuff. They got J.J. Smith returning kicks. They got, I don't know who that is, Russell Wilson on our sideline or something. But
no, hold on. Can I say in that game,
sure.
Like the gameplay and like Drew Aller threw for like 900 yards against
Ohio
State.
Yeah, he did. Oh yeah. And they put out an Ohio State Michigan game full, and of course Michigan wins because the guy who's the lead developer of the game went to Michigan, and he's the biggest Michigan fan of all time. So
yeah, I know, but like at least I mean, you let this jamoke on this thing, like at least have some reality in this thing. And I mean, Drew Aller is ass, my dude, and that he's got these magical abilities to kind of shred our defense to the tune of about 35 points or whatever. I'm like, that ain't ever going to happen. So I'm immediately a skeptical hippo about the quality of this video game.
Oh, G. Scott turns into like Kellen Winslow Jr. in this game versus in the national championship game. He has like 10 catches. You know, they look like they've got Travion in quicksand, getting ran down by a slow Mike linebacker. Tyler Kirsty, and again, I'm just going to run this because this is some beta footage that was posted. Kirk, what would it take for people actually to show some credit to the offensive lineman? Because I feel like you guys are the most disrespected position. I don't know. I mean, I don't worry about that because when you play offensive line, you know that you're going to be, you're part of the, they call it the mushroom club, where they keep you in the dark and, you know, they crap on you and you grow despite all of that. That's kind of like the mushroom club mantra for the offensive lineman. But the thing about the offensive lineman is like, you don't get a ton of credit until something goes great or something goes really bad. They notice when you get a penalty, they notice when you get a holding call, they notice when you give up a sack or a pressure or whatever. And the hardest part about the offensive line is like, it's a collective group. So if one guy screws up, the whole line gets slaughtered. You know, like if a wide receiver drops a touchdown pass or doesn't run a slant like Marvin Harrison, like that's just on Marvin. It's not, they don't blame the whole wide receiver group. Or, you know, because it's not an individual thing. Like on the O-line, like, you know, there's a lot of times where guys will give up sacks or defensive linemen will get sacks, and it might not be apparent whose fault it is because it might be a blown assignment or whatever. But I don't know, like it's just part of it. Like I always say that, you know, every year we should do kind of like a Deadpool and pick the coaches that are going to be the most hated coaches on staff each year, because it's always so predictable that it's going to be the defensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, the offensive coordinator, and that's it in general. I mean, nobody ever hates and if our secondary gets roasted, it could be the DB's coach. Like it could be the corner coach or the safeties coach, but it's never like the tight ends coach. It's rarely the D-line coach. It's never like no one ever gets mad at the running backs coach. Even if they have the most, like Tony Alford had the worst rotations in the history of college football the last few years. But people kind of just let it slide. They don't get near the furor as they do the O-line coach. Like, again, I've lived through people hating Jim Bowman. Obviously, you guys all know everyone hated Jim Bowman. People hated Jim Haycock. People hated Luke Fickell. People hated Tom Herman. People hated Tim Beck. People hated Halfley. They hated Everett Withers. I mean, that's just put Schiano. Obviously, everyone hated Kerry Combs when he was here as the DC. They loved him. They loved him as a cornerbacks coach because he, would wear short sleeve shirts and scream and carry on and whatever. So people they love like that kind of bluster stuff, but I'm more about productivity and just doing your job in a very productive manner. But if you're a coordinator at Ohio State, you will be hated. So there's gonna be a time this year where people are gonna hate Chip Kelly. I'm telling you, there's gonna be a time where we don't score 70 or we don't cover the spread, and people will lose their minds and fire Chip Kelly. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. He's probably the greatest offensive mind in the last 40 years of college football, and people are going to hate him. He's a guy that's clinicked Bill Belichick, Saban, Urban. They've all wanted to know why he does what he does, and people will turn on him. But that's just part of the big time. I never, like I said, when you're playing and you're in it, it's better to be kind of dialed in and locked in. Because again, it's the same thing like what we do. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't like me in Nevada because of what we say and what we do and how productive we are and how, look at our ratings and look at our like the success we've had. So when you're at the Mecca and you work harder than everybody and you're better than everybody, then eventually people are going to say, well, I don't like that person. That's why people hate Ohio State. Ohio State is the most hated brand in college football because they're so good and they're so consistently excellent. So people hate them. Like people in the SEC hate them for no reason at all, just because they're dumb and they don't have any reason they have no reason to hate Ohio State other than they're just good every year. And they hated Jim Tressel, they hated Urban Meyer. People hate Ryan Day. It just kind of is what it is at this point. So I don't know, but the O-line will always be the most disrespected position just because it's so hard to understand. Like it's just not as apparent as guy catches football or guy throws football. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of times that the offensive line can be put in terrible positions. Like a perfect instance is last year's Cotton Bowl where, we put Matt Jones in at center. Matt did not know the calls. I know for a fact he did not know the calls. We left him in there. We put Enoch Vamahi in, who's played 2 games in his career. The Michigan game from 2 years ago where he got pulled after 1 quarter, and they put Josh Fryer in at guard. And then this bowl game. And Enoch was scared to death. And Enoch's a very nice kid, but he was terrified out there. I literally felt bad for him. And I don't feel bad for adult 22-year-old males that sign up to play football at Ohio State, but he was terrified and he didn't know what to do. And he got absolutely roasted by their defensive linemen. And he never should have been in there. And again, he hadn't played all year. Now you put him in versus a bunch of really, really good, talented pass rushers. That was totally asinine. But again, that was their decision. So, I didn't feel like the line. I don't think Josh Simmons and Josh Fryer, who did not play well, were put in a great position when all of a sudden you've got a new center who has kind of a different cadence, a different hitch in his giddy up, snapping the ball, and then all of a sudden our tackles are laid off the mark and they get beat around the edge. I mean, the one play Josh Simmons was so laid off the ball, it was crazy, and that was the one where he gave up the really bad sack, and it was the kind of sack that could get a quarterback hurt. He could get ACL'd or it could be a sack fumble because he was so laid off the mark. Because again, he wasn't used to the snap count that Matt Jones had compared to Carson. He was used to Carson, so. Again, if you're astute and you study offensive line play, meticulously like I like to do, then you notice that stuff and you're just like, yeah, that's why that happened. I mean, again, Josh Sims was put in a position to fail, and that's on the coaching staff. So just my opinion. And again, I'm not trying to lash these guys, but, after a while when you're like, well, we started the same guys for the entire season, maybe we should go back to that line. And I know Carson Hinsman had the yips or whatever during bowl practice, but you got to figure that out. Figure out how to get him unyipped before the game starts, or just go under center and just let him snap the ball. Go to pistol where it's an easier snap. Figure something out, because the plane that we had was atrocious. And again, it's easy for me to sit there because when you lose Kyle McCord, that kills you because you don't. You're starting your new quarterback. Then Devin gets hurt. You're down to Lincoln. So it was just kind of a cluster. So flush that thing down the toilet, and we're on to 2024. Nevada, do you have anything to add to that? Again, Tyler, appreciate the question. Kirk, what would it take for people to actually show some credit to the offensive line? Because I feel like you guys are the most disrespected position. What are your thoughts?
Well, it reminds me of, one of my favorite movies, a movie called Argo, with Ben Affleck won the Academy Award. And they had a great line where it's like, if you wanted the applause, you should have joined the circus. And that's what I kind of feel about offensive line. Like, offensive lineman, you're never going to get the applause. When you sign up, it's a thankless position. The quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the running backs are going to get all the touchdowns and get all the chicks and get all the accolades, and you guys are going to kind of toil in anonymity. But I think it's just kind of baked into the cake, man. It's just kind of the way that it is. It's a thankless position, and the coach is that position. They're only going to notice him. They're only going to know your name when you blow a block, or when something bad happens, or when you have a disaster, kind of like we did against the Missouri game. But hey, I like to say that on behalf of the Ohio State community, Burke, I just want to say thank you for all your efforts, because we probably didn't thank you enough during your time there. So I'm expending that on behalf of all Ohio State fans. Thank you, Mr. Carton, for what you did for Ohio State. And now you can probably sleep well tonight, because you finally got that recognition that you so desperately needed, and I'm here to give it to you.
I never needed it. Like I said, I have a tree next to the stadium with my name on it. It says that's how good I was. I have a tree. Like the funniest thing ever is like my kid.
No, wait. Huh. You said the other day that if I did something, that you would put my name on the tree next to your name. Isn't that right? Did you not say that?
Oh, absolutely. It might be with a crayon or a marker, but I'll do it. If it says Barton Family Suite, the Barton and Nevada Family Suite, I'll get the permanent marker out and I'll write it, or I'll put like a giant Nevadabuck logo on the thing. That'd be the greatest thing of all time.
I can't believe I'm gonna have a tree in the grove. This is going to be so unbelievable. Oh my gosh, you and I shared for everything we toiled for all those years there, our blood, sweat, and tears, and now we're together for immortality there in the grove. Man, I'm getting choked up thinking about it right now.
I can't wait to have 4 tickets and a parking pass to the Michigan game. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Plenty of room, elbow to elbow. That's right.
You're not getting nothing, man. You're sitting at home with the babies, baby.
Oh no, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make a big stink about it. Oh yeah, it's going to be filled up. I know what number it is. I'm going to bring everybody in there. It's going to be great.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this will be. I think this is going to be a big day. I know that a lot of these guys are going to be playing this tomorrow, but I forgot to throw this on here because this is the eve before Nevada. JT Tuimoloau is not in the game. He opted out of it for whatever reason. Would you ever opt out of one of these games?
No, I don't understand why you would do. I mean, I guess it'd be a great question for the hard hitting staff, when they, instead of asking, "Hey, Ryan Day, where's the last time you and Mrs. Day have gone on a date?"
Oh my God, kill me.
How was it? I mean, I'd love to hear for those guys, like what went into the decision to opt out. Like, because no matter how much money it is, it's exposure. It's a chance for people to become more familiar with you, familiar with your name, and a lot of people become familiar. Like with baseball, a lot of people have stayed connected to baseball and are familiar with the players through playing rotisserie and fantasy, daily fantasy and things like that. With football, it's through playing the video games, and I think that only helps the expansion of your brand. People recognizing who you are, and making yourself more marketable. So I'm really curious what the thinking is, because I personally do not understand. I mean, the layman's thing would be what wasn't enough money, and I just didn't want to do it. But I really truly don't understand, regardless of how much. I mean, somebody offered you $5,000, $3,000, $10,000, whatever it would, man, you'd sign up in a heartbeat. So would I. So I honestly don't, unless it was because that you knew that you'd be getting roasted by Drew Aller, and you're like, that could never happen in a million years. And I refuse to participate in some game where Drew Aller can throw for 400 yards against the Buckeyes, because the guy is so bad that could never even happen, even on a video game. So
yeah,
maybe that's
it is interesting. He's not in it. For some reason, they've got Zen Mikulski starting at right tackle, and they've got Tigra starting at right guard, which is kind of peculiar. Like they've got Josh Fryer, Luke Montgomery. So Donnie is not in the game; he must be hurt. And then Zen Mikulski, this is cool though because they got Travion split out. They got JJ. JJ starts at least on this beta copy. Here's a jet. This is great. They run a jet sweep to JJ. I think this goes to the house. So JJ's big 6'4" self goes for like 80 yards right there off the rip. So again, I don't know if JJ's ever gonna take a jet sweep to the house, but I think he could. I think he would be terrifying on a jet sweep because he's like he'd be the biggest human in the history of the world to do a jet sweep. But on this video game, he's the highest rated freshman on the game, I believe. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was a negotiating thing because like Arch Manning wasn't in the game until he was. Like now he is, and I'm sure that it was like some sort of pay me more money for my image and likeness. But like I mean, for these games, like it's just kind of fun to actually be in a game. Like Jack Story's in the game. He's like a 93 overall, so he's like I think the second best player on the defense. But him and Denzel and. It'll be fun for these guys to be in their first video game. I mean, I was in a couple of the Maddens when I was in the league, and it's like you never forget it. Like they've got your photo in there, and you're just like, wow, I'm actually in the game for once. Wasn't very good, but hey, gotta do what you can do. On NCAA in 05, 6, and 7, I was actually pretty good. Like I think the last year that I was in, I was like a 94 overall, which is good. I'll take it. But yeah, we just weren't real fun to play. It's like the years when we had Troy, we were awesome because Troy could run. But when we had Todd, man, it was like we had like, and I love Todd to death, but he was really slow on the video game. So I don't know if I put in, I don't think I put in Antonio Hinton because he was so bad on the game, but I don't know what I did. I think I just rolled with Todd. But then the next year they got Terrell, and then it was a whole different ball of wax. So yeah, this will be exciting. I think we don't have any other super chats. That we're getting close to the season, man. How are you feeling? Again, we're we got like 4, 5, 6 weeks left. And we're gonna be rolling into Ohio State football. How are you feeling at this point?
Well, I just can't wait. I mean, it's. I mean, how long till fall camp opens up? It's only. I mean. It's
2
weeks, it's 3 weeks.
It's coming. Yeah, it'll be. If I had to guess, so today's the 14th. I would guess that they open the 4th, 5th. It would be my guess, which is literally like 3 weeks. 1, 2. It's 3 weeks from today. I would imagine is when they open up. So that'll be. That's humming. I mean, that's these kids that are these kids. Man, training camp sucks. It's the worst time of the year. These kids are legitimately, the time just flies at this part of the calendar. When you get down to this, they'll have like 2 more weeks of training. They'll get like 5 or 6 days off where they can go home one last time before camp starts, and then it's go time, and it's gonna be crazy. I kind of like Will Howard in this. Good.
I just want to throw this out there. Just because we haven't, we don't really have a chance to have like staff meetings. Our staff basically consists of you and me and some other guys. But
we talk 8 hours a day, anyways. So it's like, why do we need to have a staff meeting when we talk every day?
But I want to throw this out there just because they're going to have the check-ins right there, and I was just wondering, would you be willing to go down to the thing and watch the guys check in and sit with your friends and video the people carrying like their stuff in bags into the Blackwell or wherever they're going for the check-in for fall camp.
Like Jared. Hey, fun fact, Jared from Subway was in our hotel the one time when we checked in, so it's kind of like the same. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the same quality of folks that are doing that. I mean, you have to be pretty creepy to be hanging out like saying, "Ooh, let's look at these like 18-year-old kids walking into the hotel and making that into like an event." Because it's kind of, honestly, it's a lot like Big Ten Media Day. Like I went to Big Ten Media Day when I was a player. It is the most boring experience of all time. And the best part is now it's actually, and this is funny, JJ Smith is the player of the half. That shows how good he is on this game. He's going to be crazy. He's at 94 speed. I went to Big Ten Media Day in 07 in Chicago. And in Chicago, it was awesome. Now it's in Indy, and Indy kind of sucks. Compared to Chicago, there's no there's no competition at all. So that for whatever reason they moved it to Indy, but it's like it's just so boring. I mean, you have little tables set up, and everyone comes over and asks you questions, and you have to. They kind of rotate the media around so that they can all get their questions in because they don't want to. They don't want to have like everybody at the Ohio State table. Like when we did it, they had 4 tables set up, and it was like us, Northwestern, Purdue, and Michigan State or whatever. And they would rotate the media from thing to thing. It was like speed dating. They each had like a 10-minute window where they could ask us questions, or 15, whatever it was. Then we had like a banquet where it was all the Big Ten. And then we had like a media thing with the coach. So it is what it is. But it's like watching paint dry because, you know, when you get these interviews, again, I'm going to put this back on because Davis Igbinosun has a nice pick 6 here, which is glorious. He looks really good on the game. When you are doing the media days, it's, you know, you're coached to not say anything provocative. Don't know bulletin board stuff. Nothing that has any sort of intelligence or flavor behind it. Basically just like pablum, just mealy mouth, stuff that's not fun to do. And so I hated it because, like, you know, I used to feel bad for the media guys because I'm like, you guys come all this way, and you have to listen to all this crap that we have to tell you where it's like, you know, we're really excited about the season. Everybody's been working hard this off season. I feel really good about the team. It sucked that we lost to Florida, but we got to get better. We're going to work hard to replace Troy Smith. We're going to, you know, probably run the ball more without Ted Ginn and Gonzo. The defense should be good. We lose some really good players, but we should be good. And, we've been working hard this offseason and whatever. Like, it's just impossibly bad. I'm like, someone actually showed up and spent money to sit, and they got a hotel room to listen to this. Because I don't think there's ever been anything intelligent said at a media day, like ever. You know, now if you get someone like Mike Gundy who gets loose, you might get something crazy. But like, you know, with as much training as we get, you know, say they bring in this media firm that trains the kids how to talk to the media, and if you guys have any hard questions, you can always defer them to Coach Day. Say, well, I'm going to let Coach Day answer that one. And I'm just like, this is why I love having a podcast, because I don't need to defer anything to anybody. I'll answer any question. And I'll give you guys like real insight and real material and something that is actually, you know, will actually make you guys, you know, more intelligent after you're done listening to it, as opposed to the press conference, which is like something that it should honestly be like a YouTube video where you use it to put your infant to sleep at night. Let's listen to Ryan Day talk about his expectations for the season. Well, you know, Chip Kelly, he's coming in, he's worked really hard and he's added some stuff, but, you know, it's still going to be the Ohio State offense. And Will Howard has worked really hard in the offseason, and he's been great with the culture, and the brotherhood is strong, and we've worked really hard at it. And, Coach Mick's really working them hard in the summer, and we're all working really hard. And we know we have to beat, we have to win the rivalry game and win the national championship. And it's really hard to be at Ohio State and to coach at Ohio State. And it's really hard, and we've worked really hard. And we know that we have one goal and one mission is to beat the team up north and to win the national championship. And I'm like, someone literally paid money to drive and record that and listen to that and put that up. And it's just so bad, but that's what it is. Again, like, you're not allowed to say anything intelligent or anything that's, you know, has an ounce of thought during a media day session. So, but those are coming, and people will be there with their recorders, and they'll be like, "Ooh boy, please feed me this girl." It's like Oliver Twist when he's in line at the homeless shelter or at the foster home, and it's like, "Ooh, can I have more gruel, please?" That's like, give me a little bit more of that, please. Any thoughts about it? Because again, that was about as accurate as I could do Ryan Day right there. You know, we're just working hard, and we got to win that rivalry game, and it's so tough now, and it's about development, and, you know, we just got to keep working hard. Work hard.
Yeah, no, I think you don't get a lot. That's one of the things I appreciated about Urban Meyer, though. Urban Meyer's press conference for Must See TV.
Oh my God.
Because he's a truth teller, man. I mean, he would say his stuff. And that's why I love Dana White for the UFC, because Dana White says what he thinks, and I love stuff like that. And yeah, the say a lot but don't really say anything stuff is not for me either. And It is one of the liberating things about this podcast is, we've told you guys many times, we are not beholden to anybody about anything. So we will tell you, and that does not mean that we'll be overly negative. That doesn't mean we're going to be overly positive. We're just going to tell you the truth. We're going to give you the truth, and sometimes you're going to like it, sometimes you're not going to like it. But it will always be our perspectives on what the truth is about what's going around Ohio State. And right now, the truth is things are going really, really well. So the stuff we're talking about is generally positive. If that changes, I promise you'll be the first to know. But right now, this has been an exceptional offseason. I would expect everybody to be happy and optimistic. And look, the team knows, man. The team knows they're good. You can hear from their statements when you hear Will Howard at these things where you're taught not to say anything, but Will Howard's coming out with, "Hey, I hate to say this, but this is national championship or bust." That's quite a statement coming from anybody, let alone your starting quarterback. But I think these guys know how special it is, and even if they're taught not to say anything, they're still saying a lot.
Well, I mean, like you gotta cash this year, and like let's just be real. I mean, you got Quinshawn, you got Caleb Downs, you got Trey, you got all these guys back. You've got a pretty easy schedule. Like, let's just be real. Like, we got Oregon and Michigan. That's it. Penn State will be okay. They're not going to be great. Oregon is going to be a monstrous task. But the thing now is like you could lose that game and still get in. I mean, honestly, it's probably better to lose that game because if you got to go play them again in the Big Ten Championship, like which team is going to be favored if it's a close game loss going into the Big Ten Championship? Probably the loser. I mean, if it's a 3-point game or a 7-point game and everything is whatever, it's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, Oregon's going to be, it's going to be tough. But, in the olden days, I mean, last year, if you lose that game, there's a good chance you finish 5th in the playoffs. I mean, there's a good shot that you're on the outside looking in. But now you're in. You lose just that game, beat Michigan, and then, you win the Big Ten Championship or even lose twice, you're still going to get in. If you lose 2 close ones to Oregon, how could they leave you out of the top 12? Because Oregon would end up being number 1 in the country at that point. So, I don't know. Like, I think you get in, man, that defense, neutral field, no weather, that offense will be clicking. I think this offense, again, with the schedule, there's going to be a pretty meteoric rise where these guys they're going to turn up. Will Howard's going to keep getting better and better and better in this offense. I think the line will get better because, you're going to have a little bit of coordination coming in with the new center. But, and Chip's scheme, I think these guys get more and more comfortable. And I think the tackles have a lot more responsibility in the read option stuff that we're going to be doing. They'll get better at that. And a guy like J.J. Smith will go from, like on the video game, he's an 84 overall. He's probably closer to a 90 overall. But by midseason, he could be like a 97 overall. So, once he gets comfortable with the college game, like, you better look out. And same with guys like Ennis and Tate. I mean, you got to remember, Carnell Tate was a freshman last year. So he didn't play much, and now he's going to play a lot, and so is Ennis. So you get those two guys rolling, and they get more comfortable as the season goes on, playing a real role in college football. I think you're going to see some dramatically better play because guys need to get in their routines, even if they're 5 stars and they were great in high school. Like they got to get in a routine where they're productive and they're studying film and they're doing their Monday to Thursday routine, then Friday, Saturday, and then recovery Sunday. And it takes a little time to get into that once you become a big time player. Because Cardell played a little bit last year and it's played a game or two, but now those guys are real. They're going to be playing real minutes, so it's going to be real interesting to see how those guys do. Nevada. Well, I think we can wrap this thing up. Big day tomorrow. College football coming out about 3 weeks away from reporting. What are your thoughts? And let's wrap the show.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, I believe you had the talk about a potential 2026. That would be Darius Gray from out of state, the 2026. We didn't talk a lot about him. I don't know if you have tape on him or not, but maybe we'll show that tape at some point. But look, recruiting for Ohio State, it's been on a roll. It's continued to be on a roll. We're now kind of in that secondary phase of cleaning up 2025 and then getting on to 2026. And 2026 is going to be an epic year for linemen. Great in-state class, probably the best in-state class of offensive linemen that I've seen in a very, very long time. So that's good news for Ohio State, considering how well we feast in-state, and the future's bright.
Viva Argentina or Colombia?
Colombia. Viva Colombia.
Viva Colombia. I love it. Let's go. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for kicking it with us this Sunday night. I hope you guys had a great time with the show. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys kicking it with us each and every night. It's always so fun to be with you guys. So thank you for that. With that being said, if you guys could follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, that would be huge for us. We appreciate you guys and all that you do to support us. So thank you for that. As always, shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Happy NCAA football eve, or excuse me, it's college football now. There's no more NCAA. College football 25 eve. It's out at 4 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time. So if you guys get it pre-downloaded, you're ready to rock and roll. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.